Hello, my name is Jamie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Unlike any other YouTube channel that showcases Pokemon Go PvP content, mine exclusively showcases Shadow Pokemon. So, if you're into that type of content, I'd appreciate if you could like and subscribe. So, let's get into today's video. In today's video, we are going to be discussing the top 10 Shadow Pokemon for the Great League and the 10 best of the rest. As I'm sure a lot of you know, I was the first documented trainer in the world to reach Legend only using Shadow Pokemon, so I guess that makes me quite experienced in this field. Getting us right underway is Shadow Drapeon, in my opinion, one of the best save switches in the Great League. This was the mon that I wedged between Swampert Skarmory core that helped me get over the line in Season 8 to reach Legend. I used the moveset of Poison Sting, Aqua Tail and Sludge Bomb. Yes, no crunch here. Sludge Bombs for the Azumarill match, and we can obviously just Aqua Tail everything else. Next, we've got Shadow Cray Dilly. What an absolute monster. This thing, with its moveset of Grass Knot and Stone Edge, means it can hang with a tank such as Bastiodon and Stunfisk, and that Stone Edge can one-shot a lot of things such as a Bomber Snow, Galvantula, and obviously even flyers like Altaria and Skarmory. Really don't want to see Cray Dilly. And Stab Stone Edge is no joke. This is probably my favourite mon. What a monster. Moving on, we've now got Shadow Machamp. This is a Pokemon that obviously needs very little introduction. Shadow Machamp's an absolute animal. Counter is the best fast move in the game. You got a 35 energy move such as Cross Chop. The tanks get absolutely obliterated. And with all Pokemon, especially Shadows, they are quite squishy. You really need a coverage move. So if someone switches in a flyer, no flyer wants to take a Rock Slide from Machamp, such as Altaria, etc. Say you farm that and Bastiodon, you're grabbing a shield as well, so it can be really good. And then we're going to move on. Now we've got an interesting pick, Shadow Dragonette. If you play Silph, I'm doing my first Silph season this year, and I've pretty much used it in every cup as allowed. It resists all the elements such as grass, water and fire. So in the Open Great League, you see a Venusaur Swampert, you can essentially just fast move, farm it down at the cost of a shield. You leave loaded full of energy and absolutely nothing, even steel types. It actually hangs with Bastiodon in the one shield, believe it or not, with the Aqua Tail coverage. And I run Dragon Pulse, so you can nuke more or less anything. Say you catch an Altaria, you're one-shotting that with Dragon Pulse. Obviously, you do have to be quite wary of some top meta threats such as Azumarill, so you're going to have to build your team accordingly. But if you've got a decent IV Shadow Dragonette, I would recommend using it. I've had so much fun using it over the season. I do use it in Open Great League as well. Moving on, we've got a Pokemon who was one of the absolute best Shadow Pokemon. The Weather Ball nerf has hurt it somewhat, as now it does struggle a bit in the Stunfisk matchup. Before you used to be able to win it going straight Weather Ball. Now it does survive a few HP, but that being said, it's still a meta where you are going to see a lot of Altarias, Drifblims, anything that flies. Does not want to see Bomber Snow, and obviously Azumarill is still the top meta dog, and obviously you are now obliterating that with Energy Ball and the new Trevenant. You can beat that. Hypno. I use Hypno as a save switch often when I'm trying out new teams to bring you unique Shadow content. Often when I've got coverage gaps, I use Hypno to fill that void. So it's such a great moveset. Obviously you can have Elemental Punches, Psyshock, Shadow Ball, Future Sight, Focus Blast, you name it. Whatever you need a gap filling, use Shadow Hypno. There's a lot of counter users in the meta and Hypno destroys them all, other than Obstagoon actually. But that's a different story. Then you got the Shadow Venusaur. What needs to be said other than Frenzy Plant is pretty much the best move. It doesn't debuff yourself. 2.22 DPE. Absolutely any neutral matchups. It's just going to obliterate you with shields and energy. Again, a few things it's got to avoid. One of its main weaknesses is Psychic, such as Confusion. But other than Hypno and Jirachi, you don't really see it in the meta, so it is pretty safe. And it's got such a dominating matchup against stuff as like Azumarill, Stunfisk, Bastiodon. It really is a mon that you do want to invest in. Now we've got the Shadow Golbat. Shadow Golbat has become one of my favourite things. Again, like we said, Confusion is quite limited in this meta. It's an absolute wall to stuff such as Neato Queen, which is really popular as none of them really want Stone Edge. Beats Azumarill with shields. And in neutral matchups, it's just such a wall because you can just keep debuffing them with that Poison Fang and you just kind of grind out the victory. So if you need switch, this thing is great. A lot of common save switches are stuff like Vigoroth and Defense Deoxys, and you are double resisting their fast moving counter. Now we've got the GOAT. So
in neutral matchups, I don't think anything in the meta that is neutral can survive 2 Hydro Cannons. So with 2 shields, when shields are down, 2 Hydro Cannons are only going to take you 9 mud shots. So 9 mud shots, you can pretty much say good night to anything in the zero shield that is neutral. Obviously, it is double weak to grass, but even stuff like Drapeon, which is super bulky, you do about 80% with that Sludge Bomb coverage. And obviously, once again, the top meta dog is Azumarill, and Sludge Bomb, or Sludge Wave, sorry, from Shadow Swampert does around 75-80%. So if you land one, you can just go straight to Hydro Cannon. And moving on to the last of the top tier picks, we got Neato Queen, a Pokemon that I'm sure needs no introduction. That Poison Jab, Poison Fang buff means it's just such a monster. Again, neutral matchups just wear down the opponent. And once again, this is a meta that is dominated by tanks such as Stunfisk and Bastion. You've got that coverage move of the Earth Power, which puts on so much pressure. So even matchups that should be quite poor become quite effective. And I would recommend obviously building this for the Great League. That is the top 10. Now we're going to move on to the best of the rest. When I say best of the rest, these are Pokemon that do well in like the cups we have, such as Love Cup, Halloween Cup, and things such as Silph. So if you already have these top 10 built, these are stuff that I've invested in that I have thought are really effective. So moving on into this, the first we've got Skarmory. Why I've put this in the best of the rest, the lack of bulk actually affects it. So if you're not just using shadows, I'd recommend the normal. You got Celio, absolute monster in Silph. That Powder Snow Body Slam spam is awesome. Then we've got the Ninetales. Again, great in all the cups, just in the Great League where there's Bastiodon, Stunfisk. It is quite problematic to use, even Altaria. So it's really good in like close meta cups, just in the Great League. It's got too many things that it really needs to avoid. That Overheat does hit like a trot. Now you got Lapras. Once again, not a Pokemon actually built yet. You can see why the CP. But its moveset is a bit slow. I actually think Celio is probably a bit better because at least you are spamming out the Body Slam, whereas Lapras is a bit slow. It's using Ice Shard and Surf, which isn't the most spammy. And there's so many counter uses that it does have to avoid. Then you got Gliscor. I absolutely love this Pokemon. I would put it top tier, but let's face it, it's a bit of a niche pick. It is weak to both water and neutral to grass, and these things are so common. However, it's an absolute wall to Defense Deoxys and Vigoroth, which both are really common. It's just one of these Pokemon that I think you could build and you won't have straight immediate success with. That's why I put it in tier 2. Then you've got the Skunk Tank. Poison Jab, Crunch, Sludge Bomb or Flamethrower, beat stuff like Azumarill. The only problem is that a lot of Steel types, so they are resisting Poison Jab, and his moveset is a bit slow. Beedrill, another Pokemon they absolutely love in a meta that's full of darks. Tanks, you've got that coverage, so stuff like Bastiodon, which is a really bad matchup. You can hit it for double super effective with that Drill Run. It beats Azu, but like I've said, it's just got a few too many things that it wants to avoid, such as Bastion, which is everywhere. And you are obviously going to struggle against Sableye, stuff like that. Then you've got Marshtomp. I've put Marshtomp in tier 2 because it's essentially like a Wish Cash. It is just a downgrade to Swampert, but again, in Silph metas where Swampert is banned, Marshtomp is a monster. I've used it in a few Silph metas and I've absolutely loved it. I have used it in Open Great League as well, and it is pretty good. It just isn't a top tier pick. Now we've got Zapdos. Zapdos is a monster. Again, there's 2 reasons why it's in tier 2. Bastiodon, Stunfisk. You can do absolutely nothing to either of them. And the problem is, I don't really think I'm going to recommend investing such a lot of resources into a mon that loses so hard to such top tier picks. Then you've got Blossom. Again, it's a toss up between Blossom and Venusaur for the first spot. Blossom is an absolute beast. You've got Leaf Blade, which is 2.0 DPE, which is one of the best moves in the game. You've got that coverage move of Dazzling Gleam, so it actually beats stuff like Mandibuzz. I don't think any mono grass type other than Blossom can beat Mandibuzz. Even stuff like Drifblim, which again, grass types don't beat Drifblim. You can actually win that match. I've got footage of that on the channel. Again, I just think it's slightly worse than Venusaur, as obviously Frenzy Plant is just a better move than Leaf Blade. The coverage move is a bit more expensive, and we obviously don't get the same type of attack bonus, whereas Venusaur is getting it on Sludge. That would be why I've put it in tier 2. So they were the top 10 picks that I'd recommend, and the top 10 best of the rest. So if you are limited on TMs, these are the Pokemon that I would prioritise. I'd just like to say thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.